Welcome back to Beyond the Feature. Again, this is where we go beyond the feature. We're not talking about how to click buttons and stuff like that. We're talking about why those buttons matter and what goes on in there. And I'm Dr. Patrick Jones. So welcome for joining us today. Today I'm going to talk about migrations of data. And that's so fun. But this is more for the end users to understand what just happened to them. Right? IT kind of worked behind the scenes to upgrade the whole system, right? We're not talking about that, the terabytes that they're moving and the downtime and the sync clients installed. Nobody cares about that. The end user just cares about what changed for them. And that's what I'm here to talk about today. So if your organization just moved off the file server and into OneDrive and SharePoint, that's what I'm talking about, or getting ready to. It's not as much for the admins or the IT team because they understand the process and what they're doing. This is for the people that have to find their files again and get that work done. So we're going to talk about why we did that. And it's actually a great thing, a modern thing, and it'll help out down the road. It's not a how-to episode. Again, I'm not going to show you what button to click to find your file. I've got trainings for that, right? We've talked about it before, but I've also got books and online trainings that talk about the features. I've worked with people and done trainings. What about the features? This is about why, right? Why did this happen? And what does it mean for how you can work now? So we're going to talk about that. So while it quietly changed, and this is solving problems that you didn't even know you had because you've just learned to live with them. So what we're going to do is we're going to call out those things you've lived with and how that can actually impact you now that we are in the modern age of cloud computing, right? Because in the past, the file server died, right? You're stuck. Or you got a shared drive, right? With a map drive, S drive, right? And it's not showing up now. Or there's folder structures with 5 generations of subfolders and you got to find the right stuff. Or you've had to go through because maybe you do have to access something offsite. Now you got to mess around with a VPN, right? If you aren't in that building or connected to a VPN, you're not getting those files at all. Or you're putting them all on a flash drive, a lot of inconvenience and a lot of security holes, right? Work from home meant fighting with a lot of things. And then you had the versions, final proposal 2, actual final proposal that I'm sharing with some. Dude, no, right? And then there was always the single point of failure. If that file server went down, where the building lost power, drive failed, all the back end stuff, right? For people working on it, it just stopped. So one box in the closet controlled everybody's ability to function. Another issue was co-authoring. We wanted people, you couldn't co-author. If you wanted to share a file with somebody with a PowerPoint, 2 people working on it, you're emailing it back and forth. Version, which one's the real version? You overwrote this. Where'd it go? I can't find it. Yes, I've been there, done that, and glad it's gone, right? But none of it was your fault, right? And none of it was normal. It was a limitation of where we were in the technology at the time. And our organizations adapted to it, and we adapted to it, and we just made the best with what was out there because we had no choice. Well, now the IT teams that are migrating those file servers into the cloud, into SharePoints and OneDrives, they're actually giving you a choice. And that's what's actually changing, right? Now, your files are not tied to a building, a drive letter, or a specific machine anymore. They're tied to you, your identity, which is accessible from anywhere you can log in. So it's very secure, right? It's all about what you have access to now. You log in, you see what you can see. With OneDrive, it's your personal space, right? It travels with you. Whether it's on your laptop, your phone, your home computer, doesn't matter. You can log into your OneDrive and it's there. I can go into my Outlook and attach a file from my OneDrive, right? Whether I'm on my phone. If you have SharePoint, it's like a team and organizational space. Think your shared files, right? For an easier analogy. But now those are in real time. They're not just stored in the same folder. You guys can access them all at the same time, which is the real-time co-authoring, not just accessing, opening them up. You can see each other editing in the document. It's got the cursor with the colors and showing who's in there editing, and you can be having a conversation with each other. You don't have to email those versions. There's version history, which is built in automatically, so that if somebody does override everything, hey, there's a safety net. You can go into version history and pull it before. I've seen that a ton with templates. People have templates in there and they need to edit the template to turn into HR or something like that. And somebody goes in and edits the template with their information. And now it's different for everybody. Well, you know what? With version history, we can just go back and grab the one before they added everything and make that the real one again. Nobody getting in huge trouble for blowing up a template. And search. If you've been there, you've tried to use the search function in File Explorer that hits that file server, and it just takes forever. Well, now that you're in the cloud, you can use the search function at the top of OneDrive or SharePoint, and it searches everything you have access to. Again, you have access to. If it's in my OneDrive, you're not seeing it unless I gave you access to see it. I shared it with you, right? And then we can work together and you can search for it. But if it's personal and it's in my OneDrive, not seeing it. Everything you have access to, you can search for and find out almost instantaneous. Now, there's less of a chance of a single point of failure. Before, that was that file server, right, in that closet. That thing goes down, everything goes down. And if it goes away, everything goes away. They should be backing it up. That's a different conversation for a different time. But now it's in the cloud. It's on somebody else's server, in a sense, right? As long as you have internet access, you can access the files in there. And even if you don't have internet access, you can download to your device. Like if you're on an airplane, you have to turn off your internet. You can have airplane mode on that to where you can edit files that are on your computer. And when you hit internet again, it uploads all those changes. Beautiful thing. Again, not going into the features and how to do that, just letting you know that it's there. So this isn't about those features. I'm not going to talk about that kind of stuff today. We can do that down the road. Hit me up, AuditSolve, Sterling, whoever you want. Find us. We will help you with that stuff. I've got the books at Olympus Academy Press on Amazon and the courses at Olympus Academy, which is a weird address. It's learn.olympusacademy.net. So if you go there, all the courses are on there, or just reach out to me. I'll hook you up, let you know where to go. So your work is no longer dependent on your location, right? So I'm going to have a couple episodes coming up. One is architecture of awe. So that'll be a great one to talk about. A little different dynamic. Another one is work from anywhere, right? So let me go into the work from anywhere a little bit here, kind of tease it a little bit. Before, and you've probably heard this, right? It was work from anywhere meant you had to be on internet, and then you had to grab a VPN or a Citrix or something like that to be able to use remote desktops, and it just wasn't possible. Well, now with the migration up into the cloud, where access isn't limited and you don't need a workaround anymore, it's just how the system works. Now you have a bigger future of work conversation. Remember we talked about the future of work a couple weeks ago? This is what that talks about. You have the flexibility, right? You have lower turnover and higher engagement because that flexibility was never going to work well on a file server architecture, right? The infrastructure had to change before the flexibility could deliver on that promise. And it did, right? So here, someone is finishing a thought on a document on their phone in the parking lot, and they can pick it back up at their desk an hour later because it's the same document, the same thing. It's just a different place where you're at. And that's just normal now. You see that everywhere. Again, with the architecture of awe, we're going to take it another step, and we're going to add how that impacts you emotionally and physically to where you can do that, walk away and work from places that inspire you and make it even deeper, that you can do even better work from that kind of thing. Because your files and your team aren't trapped behind that VPN anymore, waiting for you to come back to that building and work, and you're not stuck at the building having to work. And yeah, so technology enables that flexibility now. The organization culture has to grant the permission to use it, right? The infrastructure, the policy, there's a lot of things that go on how you use it. And once they all align and that security is there, that's modern work. Now, remember, collaboration is huge for this. You don't have to worry about because, like with Microsoft, so communication, collaboration, right? Those are huge. With this migration, you have that communication and collaboration. You got rid of the can you send me the latest version, right? There's only one version. Everyone's looking at it. You can communicate on it and you can collaborate on it. Your comments and your feedback are in the document, attached to the document. So even if you're, asynchronous, where you're not on there at the same time, you can leave those comments and feedbacks, and the person who jumps in sees them in the content, and it's not across email threads and things like that. And you can share with someone outside of the file's home location, right? If you had to share that file with somebody, a company that you work with, you had to attach it, right? And email a copy of it. And then you got a remnant, a rogue copy somewhere, and you don't know which one's real. This one, you can just use a share link and you give access to the same living file. So collaboration with others outside your organization is possible. Now, again, going back to security, where we start, and we have other episodes on this where we talk about should we do that, right? Or how we do that with intention, because we don't want to share things everywhere, because then you start opening up holes in your stuff. But if you do it intentionally and you do it correctly, it's a huge tool. So again, we're not getting into security on this, but because you have fewer copies floating around in inboxes and personal drives, sensitive information is less likely to leak. And our IT folk know that there's a thing called Purview. And once it's in the cloud, Purview can actually protect it in the back, right? They can put safeguards on that data to keep it from linking, to find out if there's anything that shouldn't be in there, right? Those are automatic things set up. And we all know we use Teams, right? So files that are in a Teams chat or channel, that's the same that's in the SharePoint. It's not a separate copy in your Teams chat. It is the document. We can work on it. It's a place there that we can do things like that. We can throw Loop in there and attach it in there. And it's the same across. Living document, one place, but multiple doors to access it. So now, not going to lie to you, there is some friction at first, right? Who moved my cheese? It does feel different because the folder structures maybe look different. You can access it again so many ways, and sometimes that becomes frustrating, but all of those ways are meant so that you can join in the way that feels comfortable for you. It's all the same, it's just how it works for you. So it's a lot more personal. Whether you go to on OneDrive online, or whether you're accessing it through your file Explorer on your computer, the file Explorer looks more traditional like you're used to, or you can go online. It's the same thing. It syncs back and forth. So maybe those sync icons take a little bit of getting used to also. What they mean. What does this mean? What does that mean, right? And sometimes, where did my file go? You're over there in File Explorer looking for your S drive. Well, okay, it's in the cloud. You can sync it down there or add a link to your OneDrive and access it in so many different ways that really can align into how you do your work. Now, this adjustment period is completely normal, right? Who moved my cheese? It's temporary. And sometimes it's shorter than people expect. Most people are comfortable with it after a couple of weeks of using it. And if you have any kind of training built around it, which is, enablement is the number one factor for success on this, having that resource that is the guide on the side. That's what I love to call it. The guide on the side as you go through and do this. That's why I created those 365, the Microsoft 365 companion series. That's why I created it. so that if you need to know more about Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneDrive, all that stuff, SharePoint, it's all there. Some people are tactile and want to look through a book. Go for it. Got the online trainings, those that like to watch videos, but the idea is it's a resource. And that enablement is there to help you. The number one person or way that you get help, though, is the expert down the hall, right? The people that are already living it. You have a question, ask your colleague. Everybody does it, right? How do I do this? How do I do that? People like me, when I train, that's only like 15% because I can give you the information. Holding on to it is kind of hard. Having that guide on the side down the hall is so important because then as you're doing it, you can ask questions about it and they're feeling the same thing and they can ask, and you build up those pillars of excellence. Now, let me reframe this a whole way again. This was not really an IT project. So when they go and do this migration, they being the IT department, right? It wasn't for them, right? It was an investment in the organization, giving you back your flexibility, your reliability, and control over where and how you work, which is a huge shift because it used to be IT telling you how to work. This is our limitation. You have to do it this way. And you keep saying, well, I want to do, you can't. Well, now there's so many different options. It almost becomes as shut down as it was when you didn't have any options because there's too many. So the idea is grab onto something. So this week, try something. If you've just migrated or even if you've been there for a while, but deliberately try to access a work file from somewhere you wouldn't have been able to before. Like when you were on your file server, try it somewhere else, whether it's a phone, different device, away from the office. Just notice how it works. The biggest one I like people to do is go into their Outlook on their phone, right? And try to attach something from their OneDrive. That's cool, right? It's built into your Outlook. It's right there. Or if same thing, if you're in Teams, right? You can see all of your files that you have access to in there. It's a beautiful thing. So now if you're in the middle of that migration or you're just considering one, hopefully this episode will help convince you of why it's worthy of that temporary disruption, because it will make everything natural after that. And if you need any assistance with that, again, look out to beyondthefeature.com for this episode. Share it with people that are in that kind of feel. And I've got the drpjj21.com website. That's me. So feel free to do that. Hit the comments on this if you have questions about stuff. I can point you where you need to go and help you out. Again, I've got the resources that are out there for the features because you got to know how to do stuff. But you got to know why you're doing it. And that's what Beyond the Feature is all about, is the why. So again, share this one, like this one, stick with us. Hopefully you like the new format where I'm not just reading off of a script. I'm kind of babbling along. So we will keep it going. All right. Thanks.